So I am one of the organizers. We currently are 4 organizers of the DevOps. I know some of your faces, so you know us, but I want to invite the others that might not still participate on our community to join and to come to the sessions. Most probably the forthcoming session will be on October 16. Okay? We still are preparing the details, but it will be on October 16. So the main goal is also this goal that we have here, and thanks X-Geeks for inviting us to participate on this, is to share, to network, and to grow together. Okay? So I'm not used at all at Max, so let's see how this goes. All right. So metrics-based deployments. It will be a brief introduction of half an hour. Yeah? We can discuss this a lot, or we can start with that part. Are you saying that bullshit again that all the managers say about metrics, that we need to be data-driven, but in the end, you don't do anything? Let's see. Most probably. So start with the beginning. You know that I'm a DevOps organizer. I work at OutSystems. It was also said, if you want to connect, just search my name. It's some advantage of having an unusual name. It's easy to find me for the good and bad reasons. So currently, I am a senior engineering manager. Basically, I manage more than one team, so on R&D. Why metrics and why me talking about metrics? So in fact, I started my career, my master is on mechanical engineering. I started working with robots, but mechanical engineering, the feedback loop is very high, so it's very big. I wanted to have fast feedback, and when I started working with the robots, I started working with the Unix systems and IT, and it was amazing, the feedback loop. You program, you compile, you see. And so I started getting closer and closer to IT. I was able to join an IT company. And I like also a lot of management things. So I started looking, how can I use IT to increase the ability to manage these things? I started working on the outsourcing side. Then I started collecting metrics, and I always trying to balance my perception with the hard data. All right, so we will go through this. I'll just leave this for when you see the slides. But before we start, a question. Just raise your hand. Who use any kind of metrics to manage your IT? Really cool. All right. So does anyone use metrics to decide if they should deploy or not? Okay. Even cooler, so we will have good discussions. So aligning concepts. What is deployment? And I will not discuss that part of decoupling deployments from decoupling features. That's another part. We are talking about all the activities that we make to make a software system, a full system, or a part of it available. Okay? So a lot of things happen, a lot of things can be measured, right? We know all that things that happens. Developers, as I said, we compile, we want to get the fast feedback. With cloud native, it's amazing because we can increase a lot. We don't have to wait someone to buy the CD. No one buys CDs anymore, but you get the point. You just need to wait and to deploy and make it available. You can use A/B testing, you can use feature toggles, all that amazing things, but it's not that we are been talking today. Again, that things will produce metrics, and that things can be relevant for you to use, but it's not the focus. We are just doing a brief introduction. So we do a lot of things. We produce an artifact. We want to put it in an environment, in a Kubernetes cluster, on a VM, on LXD, container, whatever. But in fact, we know that it's never that simple, right? So in general, we have one first environment where we call it dev. We do some tests, performance, security, whatever. And we cannot do it everything at the same time because we have a lot of developers waiting for getting feedback and so on. The system is so big that unfortunately you cannot run everything inside of your local Kubernetes instance, micro K8s or K3s or something similar, but you want to expand, so you need a cluster running on the cloud. You have all these environments. In the end, yes, we want to put it on production, but we want to be confident, right? And you say, amazing Urbano, I spent well my time. You are teaching everything that I already know. Yeah, and there's even books about that. Why are you just saying this? So I'm giving a context. The goal is to align the language, aligning the baseline so we can understand. So, and also have bugs in the presentation. We have metrics. And what we want with the metrics is to give a quantitative meaning to a perception, eventually to a question, and so on. Use numbers. In fact, if we think a bit, we are professionals of numbers, right? We are leveraging zeros and ones and combinations of it to make systems run, right? Okay, another bug. So why use metrics? As I said, probably me as a software engineer, as managing a team or even managing an organization that produces a product, I want to know if I have the conditions to deploy to my target environment. A lot of things can happen around this. But we have the continuous delivery book. We say, just test it. If it passes on the test, we are good, right? Yeah, we are good. But there is a catch. Almost everything has a catch. Even if we do all unit, contract tests, integration, end-to-end, visual, whatever, the tests will only give us feedback regarding, does it work as expected? Yes, it works for what the test was designed to test, right? But we are humans, and we don't lack knowledge about a lot of things. I don't know if you guys follow the Dave Farley channel, the continuous delivery, but one amazing thing that he has there, that at least that me surprised me, and I was working on this area for a few years already, was you have a video that how to start a software project. And I thought, almost waterfalling, I was thinking, oh yeah, we set up a team, we set up the Jira, we set up, and he said, you never know enough. So the first thing is set up to fast feedback, right? So you can learn as much as possible. You can understand what are the new tests that you need to set up, and so on. So yes, tests don't answer all the questions, because we can have this kind of thing. Is the target environment running as expected? What is as expected? It's just available. It's the performance perspective. It's the functional perspective. And I made a deployed. Okay. Where I did my deployment. It's one of that it's on the correct target environment. For example, currently on my organization, we have multiple cluster instances for where we deploy. We do have an order, and we forced to have an order. But in the beginning, when we were setting up things, it was not unusual people miss the correct target point, right? And because we want to improve, we always know if we've used Dora metrics when it was deployed, so we can calculate lead time, right? How long it took, so we can understand, am I optimizing this for fast feedback? And the last one is also related. Finally, we deployed. We want to understand, is it healthy? And a great discussion can be about healthy. Are the users using it? If we start directing these knowledge and these metrics for a user-based perspective, in the end, we want our users, or we should want our users to use our products, right? So it's very important. But there is always a catch. How can I get answers to all these questions and others that I might have, right? And how can I put numbers so I can not use a human as much as possible to do this, right? So I want that to be as automated as possible. And the good news is you can do it, right? eventually might not be simple, especially when we start. Everything that we start. A few years ago, if you asked me to be on this stage doing this presentation, I will be sweating. Probably I went to the bathroom 5 times before, and so a lot of things. And because I'm practicing, I'm believing, I'm being involving and getting every time. And it will be the same on your journey to use metrics. So how to use metrics? Pick a question and transform it into metrics. And you can use again that GIF saying, yeah, this guy is amazing. How does he do all these things? So let's pick an example. Does it work as expected? So in general IT, at least we can use these 2 perspectives, availability and performance, right? Then we can start drilling down on the performance. We can use SRE knowledge, Google the golden signals, okay? Is this fast? How much traffic I have? How much traffic I'm waiting for? And so I can see if I'm achieving my level of saturation for the level of saturation that I designed my system to support, right? Ideally, you did performance testing, but performance testing is expensive due to several reasons. And again, picking SRE knowledge, I know for sure my system will produce errors. Errors that I designed the system to produce and other errors that I was not expecting. So I can look to the errors and also give that amazing classification that we see. Again, see? Just picking what the industry says. What the most difficult thing that generally we are not used to do is just going through this cycle. Start using, collecting, having the feedback, and doing the loop. We always quit. Oh, this is too difficult. It will take a lot of time. Yeah, it is true, but what almost doesn't take time. And it is not as difficult as you are seeing now, right? So if we have all this, we could focus on a specific area, right? Let's focus on performance, and in particular on latency. So what do you guys think it will be a good question for latency to decide if things are working as expected or not? Sorry?
What is the P99?
Okay, so it's already a very advanced guy. But it's true. So P99 can be seen almost as a service level objective, right? We want to assure that 99% of the system is we know, or we can use this in different perspectives. We know the P99, and then we say everything is good if it's below this, right? Or we can say like this. We have some conditions that we define, and in particular, for me, it is, if I'm looking to APIs, it should take less than 1 second, then I can apply the P99. So it will be 0.99 seconds. Everything that is below that could be working, but we can use different approaches. We can say, for me, for all the traffic that I have, for me, this is cool and is working well if 90% of the requests or 98% of the requests are served in less than 1 second. Okay? So we have a very basic way of defining a level, agree with our partners, with our stakeholders, and then use that to learn and to leverage. So this color doesn't work as good as on my PC, neither the Mac. Okay, we should be systematic, right? And these things we should start easily so we can understand, we can share the concepts. I start being a dev manager, so having 2 teams and working on building a platform. And almost for the majority of the time I've been fighting with my team, trying to show that metrics could be good for us. So we can have a better perception of how things are going. So, and my learning is, yeah, we need to be systematic, but essentially we need to make this as easy and as frictionless as possible so people can adopt it, right? So I will ask to all of you this, okay? If you know how to answer, I will pay a beer. But this is a possible way of And again, I'm stealing things. If you look for talks about logs and so on, you will find something similar to this. Let's start with a high-level question. That it can be that one. Then can drill down and make it more specific. Then we can give a metric a name so we don't confuse what we are talking. We can give the threshold. We should, or I will say we must know the purpose, because metrics without purpose is like life without a purpose. So when we want to use it, the thresholds, and this is very important. I might have amazing things. I work with a partner that they have an amazing Kafka system, sending all the data, all the metrics, it was everything cool, but everyone that wants to see the data, they needed to go to the command line, run some SQL scripts, and yeah, the majority of the people, in particular the business guys that are interested, don't know how to connect. They don't have permissions, that is a cool thing, even better. So a dashboard, a tool that is easy. The other part is also very important. I didn't give too much because we are talking about introduction, but we should have documentation stating, okay, if this happens, this is the way that we expect we as an organization to act. Okay? If I have 5% of my organization, of my requests taking more than 5 seconds, what should I do? I can just scale. I can say Kubernetes, or what is the command? kubectl. Yeah, kubectl, thank you. So make it systematic is just a matter of putting it on a table, group things. Amazing, again, a lot of time thinking on this. Okay, so I'm seeing that you are not sleeping, but still some questions. Will this approach have any value on your work? Raise the hands, but now from 1 to 5. I was thinking if we should go to 10. Don't be shy, just, okay. Thank you for your courage and expressing. Yeah, but every time, and I work on professional service and outsourcing, I give a lot of training. They say, almost, you said a lot of bull. Now give me the tools to do that. Okay. There is a lot of tools that you can use to do this, okay? A lot. Just some possible solution. So you guys know that I work on OutSystems. We use a tool to save the SLOs. We digest everything inside of Elastic Cluster. We use Jenkins. And by the way, this is not up to date, but this is a possible. I did this for a customer. So then we have a central engine where we can process all this. We can even automate, use what is called actionable analytics, where we don't wait for a human to go there and see if the requests are taking too much time. We have thresholds. So say, if I just using 10% of my Kubernetes cluster, I will be able to at least scale it 10 times because I have the budget to that. I will try not to do it, but if I have this condition, then start scaling. Oh, but now if I just have 0.5% of my latency being violated, let's scale down, right? Tools are crazy and awesome. A lot of things, a lot of people will try to sell tools to you, and there are tools like OutSystems that are amazing, allow you to do great things in a very short amount of time. Elastic is also one of that, Grafana, Linux, and so on. But what is more important is the foundation. So basically, we have something from where we need to collect data, and you can even use OpenTelemetry. That's a standard that's very easy to use today. We need a place where we have our definitions. It's a lot easier if we have the structured way, like a YAML file or something similar. Then we need to push that for the central engine, where we store these and we make the magic happen. And we need a deployment orchestrator. Azure DevOps, Jenkins, Circle CI. And so best practices. I forgot to put the clock. How are we? Cool? Okay. So use metrics for all the environments. Because if we, in general, what we see is, I will just do this to production. And it is true that you need to start for some places. But again, what we want is confidence to arrive to production, right? So we should look to the other environments firstly and have that notion. And it will be, it's like that DevOps principle of the 3 ways that system thinking. If we just look for a specific part, we will lose the big picture, right? I gave the example of 1 second, but in fact, what matters is your system. I work with a customer that they had an internal app that was an app where they manage all the work for the company, and they work on the field. It was a bit like Visabeira here, so a provider of telecommunication services that make installations, and they receive from their customers big chunks of JSON files with all the work. And so for them, it was pretty acceptable that the big chunks took 1 minute, 2 minutes to be uploaded. Okay? So the threshold never could be 1 second, right? It should need to be 60 seconds. So tune to your own needs, what do you agree, talk with the stakeholders, try to understand. Do you know the 3 amigos logic of doing testing? Where whenever we start a software project and we are defining what work, we should at least have the developer, the guy from QA, and the business, and they should talk the 3. I have these expectations regarding. So the QA guy can help to define what are the tests, and the developer can understand if he can implement it or not. Okay? It's the first validation that allows you to achieve and define the critical paths. We also talked about this. So when we talked about P99, just stating, if it takes more than a second, I'm failing or it's not enough. So SLOs allow us to give percentage and work better in a more gray space. Sometimes, and allow me to go back to this, we might have awesome instrumentation with OpenTelemetry or other APMs or Dynatrace or something similar, but still we might be lacking some kind of visibility. And that visibility can be achieved with what some applications, for example, Netflix has this inside of their own application, what they call built-in check-ins. So basically, the application itself has some tests that's doing. In 2018, in November, something like that, the North America AWS went down in North Carolina. Okay? A lot of companies were affected. One of the few companies that were not affected was Netflix. Why? Because they have these built-in health check-ins, and they start, oh, North Carolina is not giving the request in the time that I need. So let me start shifting to another region. Okay? It was true that you could not see in 4K, but you could see in 1K, 119, right? Something very important, and I promise I'm already ending. Whenever we start using a metric as a target, the value in general disappears. Okay? Why? Because we as humans, we are awesome to circulate and to hack things, right? If someone says to us, Urbano, you are just a good worker if you close 10 tickets of Jira for each day. Okay, in general, I just close 1, but then, okay. In fact, in this 1 ticket that I have at least 3 tasks, so I can create 3 more. Oh, but I forgot to do that. And in the end, the organization is not achieving any value more. I'm just tweaking the system. So always try to see if you are using the measure for the right reasons. Okay? Reference, if you want to go beyond and be a guy like me. Joking. Come talk with me in the end. And before the questions, I think I need to say thank you. Oh, questions. The questions are now, right? Yeah.
So, any questions for Urbano? Yeah.
Thank you very much. That was an awesome presentation. I mean, there are thousands, if not more, kind of metrics probably you can choose. So it's kind of hard to fit them all on the screen, I guess. So how do you decide for the most important one? What is your strategy?
I use the same approach that I use to define tests. What are the critical ones for me? And I talk with the stakeholders. So if you are my stakeholder and you say, okay, I'm building a B2C application, so a business to users application, like let's say Evernote, that almost no one uses now, but still a B2C application that's running. So what is relevant for you, Mr. Colleague from the business? Oh, is the application to be fast? Cool. What is fast for you? When I pick my smartphone, I click and I open my smartphone, it should not take more than 5 seconds. No, I have a metric. And how much time is that settled for you to happen? Oh, I don't mind every once of 10 times, it takes more than that, but the other. So I have 19% of the times I should achieve that. I have a metric that I can use. Then we can see the other angle. I'm an IT guy, and I know it's very important to have a fast feedback loop, right? So for me, it's very important that from the moment that the developer ends coding till the moment that he has the feedback, we know also from the industry, in general, it's good if it not take more than 5 than 10 minutes, that coffee that I can bring. So I need also to check if that one is being achieved, right? Then we can start by using DORA, okay? DORA itself should not be, again, a target. It doesn't matter to be an elite DORA performant if, in fact, I'm not collecting the value, I'm not producing, and this is a trap, because I worked with the organization, I need to be an elite. Okay, now what is the value that you are delivering? They are not delivering value, right? They were not focusing on the value. So some ideas, I can discuss others with you. Okay.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, a bit different context because I was developing a Java application there or helping a friend. There was so much metrics. I'll just ask ChatGPT and what are the most
It's another
important?
possibility.
But yeah, thank you.
Welcome. Any other question?
Hi, I don't know Novel 9.
Yeah.
What is related with Prometheus or something like that?
No, a tools guy.
Yeah, I'm a developer, so...
So no, it's not related, although it can consume data from Prometheus, okay, to check. So it's basically a tool where you can save your metrics in the form of SLOs, and then you can also check if they are being achieved or not. But instead of just having that on the Confluence page, so this is my metric, or I can even compile it on the let's say, on side of Grafana, that you are consuming Prometheus. In fact, on this tool, you can put roles, where are the roles that are responsible for this metric, what is my budget using the SRE principles, and so on. Okay?
Okay, I think I understand. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
You talked a lot of metrics and KPIs, but what about decisions? What kind of decisions can we make with our metrics?
Without metrics?
With our metrics.
Okay.
What kind of decisions?
This ha was a very Portuguese ha.
Yes,
But
sorry.
no problem. It was my mind trying. Yeah. So operational decisions, right? Essentially, we want to make money to start, okay? Unless we work on a non-profit, and if we work on a non-profit, we want to achieve that we just spend the money that we have. So I will say the first principle is, the first metrics that we can use is what is the amount of money that I'm spending with the resources, and I can test with this, especially if we use that logic. So I will develop an app for all of us so we can stay connected. I don't like WhatsApp, and I'm a very good developer, that I'm not. But still, I will develop an app, and I know I just have $100 to spend, right? So the first thing that I need to track is, can I do performance tests and collect and take a decision if I really can make this app? So In an industry perspective and a big company perspective, it will be a lot. I want to achieve this margin, so I cannot spend more than this. Am I achieving this margin? So I am just spending this. So FinOps, that's a new trend. It's a lot about these kind of things of also using metrics to take decisions, right? More operational even. I was more focusing on the operational but financial. More operational is I want to make sure that I'm not wake up through the night, right? So I will set up my system, especially my tests and all my target environments before I arrive to production to allow me to have as much confidence as possible so I can sleep at night, right? Another metric is, and I start working on this area. I start working on the ITIL, an awesome framework for those that know, and I work on incident management, okay? So one of the big metrics was how many incidents, so how much time was there an availability or lack of performance of my systems. And we were seeing that in the range of the time that we were serving. And then we set a target. We know if we want to sleep at night, we need to be below this. So I started pursuing that one, another example.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Urban, can you go back 3 slides to the good heart? Yes, that one. This one.
Yeah.
Well, the question I want to ask is more about the manager than the system engineer, okay?
Yeah.
How can you prevent metrics from measuring human behavior? Imagine that you are on DevOps and measuring, for instance, velocity with cycle time.
Yeah.
And as you said, DevOps is also about money and also about performance.
Yeah.
How can you spot that this is starting to be used as a target for instance, preferring a developer instead of the other one? And what do you do if you spot that this metric is heavily
Biased.
used to decide? Yes, biased. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, so I will start by not answering directly, okay? Just stating this because probably 1 month ago McKinsey went to say, oh, we found how we should measure the developer velocity and developer productivity, right? And the great guys of the community, Dave Farley and Beck and others said, and I agree with them, forget that. You should not focus on one individual guy, okay? Yes, we need to balance, we need to have feedback, but this being said, then we should focus from team level to above, right? And it's a lot more difficult for humans as a team trying to bend and bias the metrics. Why? Unless they start being very aligned because you are a very bad manager, so I need to, or screw this guy, or I need to make sure that he doesn't F me. So, and the other part, for those that didn't understand, is F-U-C-K, okay? Unless you have this kind of behavior, and if you are in a very toxic position, and you probably should be put outside of the team will work towards achieve the best performance possible. So they will pursue things in a good way. But you can perceive that when you start seeing a pattern of things being used always in the same way, okay? So everyone says to you the same thing. The metrics, you are always achieving the metrics, okay? I played basketball for a few years in a relatively high level. And whenever someone was...
We don't know why.
Yeah. But to be true, in one of the teams, I was one of the smallest, okay? So, but still, it is true, a team never wins, never always win. So we as humans, we will all, not always. So if we see that we are always winning, someone is not good. We should... A cool example, if you want to go deeper on this, understanding this and the flow and how we can increase the flow, is a book that calls Project to Product. Okay. I don't know if you have time or if we should talk in the end. Yeah? Okay. Welcome.
Yeah, so
but things can go wrong, right? So you can use the metric system to make a decision, but turn out that there's a failure. So is there any other mechanism that you can put or run next to the metric system to prevent, if you rely on the metric system as a single source of truth and becoming a single point of failure?
Yeah. I could say that thing that I still didn't say. That's a very good question. And you started by saying something like that I forgot, but basically, never use this as a single source of truth. Okay, it's a complementary. We are still humans. We still talk. Okay, and if we use Agile, we have retrospectives. We have all that kind of mechanism that should help us to understand. Data should be, and metrics in particular, should be used to augment the context and help us to take more informed decisions. It should not replace the feedback that we collect from the humans. Okay? For example, a few years ago, I worked with a supermarket chain, and they were collecting some of the metrics with a cool advanced tool of the market, the leader on monitoring. Everything was green. Okay? Awesome. I don't know if they banned the system or not, but it was all green. Most probably because they didn't find good enough metrics, but above all because they forgot to listen to the consumers. Okay, the ones. So what I did at the time is, let's start looking for your help desk. Let's take metrics. How many calls did you have? How many of that was related with malfunction, right? So I can complement. And then we start digging, and we start finding that, in fact, we should measure other things, that not just that ones. Okay, so there is a concept, a very cool concept, it's cybernetics, that I thought it was a completely different thing, but cybernetics is all about making sure that as much as possible you collect feedback and different feedback so you can adjust things. Okay.
It's last one, because you are already behind schedule, so yeah, please, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The word metric is meaning numbers, and I would like to know the scale on which numbers are measured. Is it a Celsius, a Fahrenheit, a Richter? What is the scale? What are the numbers? And when are the numbers given to such steps of advancement and security of the software? This is also available in all the activities of human.
Yeah, so the scale, it will depend a lot of the nature of the metric, right? If we are talking about latency, it's easy. Now, generally, we work with seconds. If we are working with security, probably we will work with just a number or a number of days without issues. The metric depends a lot. But I will say that, and this will not be a good answer, but we should not worry too much on the scales, because besides the Netflix and Facebooks of this world, we generally work with a lot lower scales, and it's fully manageable and fully achievable to use with the current knowledge that we have.